Before starting the session, I would like to give introduction of myself itself because uh, it is essential to have at least awareness of the speaker, what background he is and what he will be delivering. So basically, I am production engineer, graduation in production engineering, M.Tech in manufacturing engineering, and PhD in again mechanical production engineering. Did masters from CUAP and PhD also from CUAP itself. At the age of 28, I completed my PhD, and since last 18 years, I am in teaching field, dealing with different subjects related to manufacturing engineering. But core areas of my research as well as the study, it is robotics, and that's why I took this opportunity to interact with all of you by applying to AICT for this FDP, and I am thankful to AICT and Atal Academy for sponsoring this faculty development program to COEP. Initially, it was being organized for engineering colleges, but later on, AICT also thought that yes, awareness should be there amongst the CBSE school teachers, then all the engineering faculties, research scholars from the industries also, they wanted to have participation, and that's why all over India they have selected 10 programs which they converted from engineering to CBSE school teacher programs. And from Maharashtra, this is the first which they have approved for this conduction. So this is brief about the course. Definitely you have enjoyed day one of this particular course. Today, day two, we will be starting with again fundamentals, and the outcome of this particular program, which you should encash, is nothing but awareness about the robotics and the future of this particular robotics. Many of you may be dealing with the subjects like computer science. When I gone through the approval process of the participation, there are variety of specification specializations of the teachers from physics, chemistry, mathematics, and also Hindi, Marathi, science, as well as arts. So all these fraternity, all these categorization which we are having in this particular course. So the requirement as such, there is only the learning capabilities which you must have and you are having, you are teaching to the students, and to learn this new technology, what it is going. So with that intention, please carefully attend all the sessions. Definitely it will help in enhancing the knowledge in the field of robotics and automation, as well as artificial intelligence and these new cutting edge technologies. I will start with one video which will be useful for understanding the structure of robot system. So let me go to just to have glimpses of these robots and industry how it works. Just carefully observe.
Mr. Maheshwar, can you please tell how to mark attendance?
see the chassis and all these machineries which has been lifted. It is impossible for human being to do this particular operations, and that's why we are taking help of the robots. Totally automated plant of Volkswagen at Pune as well as in complete roofing and the top. This is one of the video from the exhibition of the robotics, industrial robots of different natures. So all the activities which you are observing, mainly pick and place, lifting the objects and putting it at another location. This is Festo flying, we are calling it as flying bird, with all this automation which they have developed. So this new era of technology with all these hydraulics, pneumatics, electronic systems which were used for maybe surveillance purpose, you are going to use it. See this, these are some of the robots from KUKA. These are the, I think, see the robot structure and at different sides. So you can orient it from different directions, anywhere. See the movements, motions, and the synchronization which you will be observing. This, whatever the coordination of the robots also, that you can do it. So all it is about the programming, how you do the programs for this robot. Huge structures with the moving base and the activity which you are observing, slower as well as fast pick and place applications. See how fast and these
Sir,
systems they are
can we
operating.
request the other participants to mute themselves? We can't hear you.
These are mobile robots, you can say. The platform is moving and you can do variety of applications using this kind of robots. See the joy, the entertainment robots like a giant wheel. You can have programming which can be done, and you can have robots being used for different kinds of applications. And whatever joints which you are observing, the rotary joints, you can rotate it as per the programmed motions and the requirements for these robot systems. So, so these are the robotic applications which you are observing, and huge structure of these trains and applications. So it was one of the convention center where the robotic exhibition was being held, and these clips are available. This I will also try to share it through the links. So when you are going for this robotics, and the learnings of these robots, you will be able to have the awareness about robotics, and mainly you have to keep in mind that all these robots are being mainly used for some functionality. So whatever the functions which you can think of, maybe whatever household applications you can think of, that can be done with the help of robot application. But main the initial development which it was been uh, robots has been developed was for pick and place kind of thing. So as that definition of robot indicates, reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator. This robotics is vast area. It is a multidisciplinary field where all the researchers, engineers, they are from different background, different disciplines. They are working together for the development. So it is science and technology of different applications which will involve mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science. Because the structure of robot which you are observing, this is a mechanical structure for industrial sake, because the major applications of robots are in industries, and as a mechanical engineer from mechanical background, my focus towards this program is, yes, from industrial robot point of view, which are used in almost all industries for automation, for fast production, and the continuous production of the products which has been considered. So when you are going for these mechanical structures which are being used for handling the parts, that manipulation name itself indicates that you are manipulating something, means you are moving the parts from one location to another location, and unless and until you are not knowing the location of that parts, you cannot handle it. So again, that programming of the robot or that machine, which will require identification of those locations from which you have to move the parts, handle it from one location to another location. And that's why, and same robot can be used for multi functionality by changing the tools, by reprogramming it. And that's why this definition, which was being derived from RIA, Robot Institute of America, or Robot Association, so they defined this robot as a reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator. These three terms are very, very essential. So when you will be talking about robots, it will be related to reprogrammable, multifunctional, and manipulation is mainly handling the parts, moving the parts from one point to another point. So these three criteria, and that through programmed motions, you are doing programming, you are using the motions of those drives, control systems, and then you are going to handle those parts through programmed motions as per your requirement. So The mechanical engineering concerns with the manipulator, main structure of robot, design of that robot, its kinematic and dynamic analysis, and different actuators. So kinematic, dynamic, somewhat uh, difficult to understand at the initial stage, but the motions of those things when a robot is in moving position, because you are handling the parts, and that's why you will be going to move the total structure robot, that linkages, and while moving there may be different forces which are acting on those particular linkages, drives, and also you are handling the parts, you are gripping the parts, you are grasping that part and then handling. So that self weight as well as the weight of that object, that will be influencing some forces on that robot linkages. So that study will be considered as a dynamic analysis. Kinematic analysis related to displacement of those particular parts from one location to another location, trajectory of that particular movement, how it is being controlled, how it has been moved. So like that you are going to consider it. Electrical components mainly related to power source for this robot system. Majority of robots which are having this electrical power source, but again it depends what actuation mechanism you are going to select it, because like we require food for our existence as well as for the energy. On the same line, for this robotic system, the main actuation or the source of power is nothing but actuation mechanism is electrical power source, and along with that you are going to have hydraulic power source, pneumatic power source, or you will be going to have combined all these three. But electrical power source is required because that control panel, at least it will be requiring the electrical power to so as to get the signals, so as to uh, have that CPU, control processing unit, central processing unit, which you will be going to give power source. All that sensors, actuators will be part of your electrical electronic systems. And computer science is mainly for programming, planning, intelligence behavior, coding, and developing different algorithms for decision making, obstacle avoidance. So like that you are going to have different codes which can be generated for teaching the robot and then using it. So you will be coming to know different terminologies. Yesterday also you have uh, learned many things. It was overview, but again I am going through those things so that you will be able to remind all those particular terms. It is a reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator designed to move materials, parts, tools, or specialized devices through variable program motions for a variety of tasks. So this is main definition which has been given by RIA, Robotics Industry Association, or Robot uh, Institution of America. So both the researchers from this field of robotics, they have arrived with this particular common definition, which is being used worldwide by uh, for defining the robot. So it is having mechanical structure, sensors to respond the input, and intelligent to make the decisions. So these are some of the anthropometric characteristics of robot system. You have seen that robot. So again it has been categorized according to the different that programming techniques, controlling techniques, as well as application techniques. So one of the categorization, that classification of these robots which we are discussing, is variable sequence robot. So when you are going to have different sequences to be followed, successive stages which has to be achieved by robot, so one after another the sequence is to be followed. In those cases, those robots, when it is being used for such kind of applications, then you are calling it as variable sequence robots. Playback robots, it is human operated a robot which you are initially teaching to that robot by leading or taking that robot arm through the desired positions, and once it has been taught, you will be replaying it like a recorder, and then it will follow the same path, same program, and it will perform the task for whatever desired time which you are going to set it. But again, it is reprogrammable. You can set for another program, another functionality, and it will perform the task. Numerical control robot, the input which you will be giving will be in the form of NC codes or the robot codes, and it will be attached with the NC CNC machines. So when it is to be operated along with other machineries having compatibility of those codes, then you are going for such kind of numerically controlled robots. In intelligent robots, when you are allowing that robot to take decisions, that means the robot will understand the environment, complete surrounding, the existence of robot, and the all surrounding. What are the machines? What are the peripheral devices which are there? So those are being considered, and on that basis, decisions are to be taken by a robot once it has been programmed. If any difficulty occurs, any troubleshooting occurs, robot will try to get, or if some intruder comes in the path or in that vicinity, it will try to go in the safe zone, safe mode, and perform its functionality. So those intelligent robots are being used. Nowadays, you will be finding almost all these robots are with this intelligent control system. So in the accessories, when you are considering this, it is a manipulator which you have seen. So from human perspective, when you compare human with the robot, like our body, robot will have the base. We are having arm, complete arm, shoulder, arm, and then we are having the hand. On the similar line, you will be going to have robot is also having the structure with the links, joints, and this base is main body, and then you are going to have arm, and then lastly you are going to have attachments which will be made as a end effector or gripper which will be attached to the manipulator. So end effectors are nothing but the end of your robot arm or different kinds of tools you will be going to use it for different tasks to be carried out. Different accessories, in the sense these are the elements of robot itself, different actuators you are going to use for the movements of those linkages, and mainly these actuators which you are considering are of either linear type or rotary type, linear actuators or rotary actuators, because the motions which we are generally considering are of linear and rotary. There are uh, different joints, spherical joints or universal joints. Those are joints are also being now tried, but controlling those joints will be somewhat difficult. So as to have your controlled motion to those drives, you are going to have these particular actuators being used. So you will be having separate session over this particular hydraulics and pneumatics which is being applied for robotic system. So in that detail will be covered, and also the simulations of those hydraulic pneumatic actuations for the robotic system, that is also being considered. Different sensors, like a human being we are having these eyes. So in almost all this new era of this robotic system, you will be finding the sensors with the vision system which is being applied for detecting the objects, detecting the surrounding, detecting the obstacles. So all these things will be considered, and on that basis, the feedback will be taken from this vision system, or maybe other sensors also being used, internal as well as external sensors for feedback, and then accordingly you are going to have the motions to be controlled. And controller is heart of your robot system. All the controlling action, whatever feedbacks are coming from sensors, actuators, and other peripheral devices, it will be processed. So controller uh, takes care of all the programming of your robot system. Yesterday also this has been covered. I will be just going briefly through this configuration as a classification of robots. So earlier what we have seen was different motion controls. This one of the categorization of robot is through the configurations, and configurations come from these movements. When those links or joints are getting moved in different ways, you are categorizing it in those particular cases. So Cartesian or rectangular type or point linear type. So these are nothing but basic robots which was initially being developed for movement in the linear direction. Very simple to control, only one directional movement of each one of these axis x, y, z, and you will be mounting your end effector on this last end of your arm and get perform the task. So very big structure, giant structure, and that's why you are going to have giant tree robots or Cartesian type of configuration, because the work volume which is going to get generated, it will be of rectangular in nature. This is one of the basic thing which is required uh, for understanding of these particular movements. There are two terms generally comes into picture: stroke and reach. So each one of these links which you are observing, which are being actuated by either hydraulic or electrical or pneumatic power source, you will be going to have the actuation, and that will be called as stroke. So stroke will be the actual movement which is happening of that particular link or the arm, whereas your reach, it will be from your center, that axis, imaginary axis which you are considering as a reference, and from that how much is the distance maximum it can approach. So that is being called as reach. So always reach, which is being treated as a reference, with reference to that central axis, how it is being approached to the last end of your robot which is to be programmed. Cylindrical type configuration, you are going to have alternate changing of those particular prismatic or linear motions into, you are going to have two prismatic or linear motion and one rotary motion in this cylindrical configuration. So how to have compact size, one axis movement you are going to convert it into rotary about its base, and then you can have the orientation which can be given. It may be around 270 max or maybe 300, because of the limitations of the drives which you will be mounting. So accordingly you will be going to have different configurations which are going to get. So this is the top view and your front view of the cylindrical robot system, showing of this intention, the span of your movement which is happening. The stroke is the actual movement which is happening to the linear joint, and the this particular swing which you are observing, this is nothing but the top view of your work envelope for this cylindrical robot, and front view only this particular vertical motion, that zone in which it will be working, that is being defined. So again, converting one uh, linear motion into rotary. So now you are having two rotary motions and one linear motion for this movement, and this is being called as spherical joint. Two R represent rotary, one P, that P represent prismatic as a linear. So two rotary, one linear motion, this is being called as a spherical type robot. So for that spherical also, similar to that of cylindrical, you are going to have work span, but in front view you are observing the elevation is somewhat different. In earlier case it was a rectangle in front view. Here you are going to have conical vertical stroke due to the rotary joint which you are putting it for the robot system. And this is the most required and industrial configuration which is being used, as all these three with rotary joints. So RRR type configuration or 3R type of configuration as an articulated robot, you are going to use it. Whatever video you have seen, majority of robots you have you those were of this uh, jointed arm type, because you will be going to get maximum flexibility. You can approach to any location that in the work volume, and the desired position can be achieved. This is the modification of that earlier robot system with that spherical robot system, where you are going to have two rotary and one linear on the same line. Here it is two rotary, one linear, but that linear or prismatic is in vertical direction. And mainly these robots are being used for assembly applications, because in vertical actuation which is you are going to give is for assembling the parts, and that's why this name which has come, selective compliance assembly robot arm. So that selective compliance in the sense, the flexibility while assembling those things, the compensation, the attachment which you are using it as a compliance unit to that end effector, that will take care of those lateral forces which are acting on those robot system, and you are going to get the proper assembly of the products which are being considered. So those five configurations in different books, different notes, different uh, papers, you will find in different configurations according to the required uh, applications. And all these robot configurations are nothing but with reference to certain frame. So when you are programming the robot, you have to take care of these reference frames. So whether you are considering universal coordinate system which will define XYZ coordinates from the reference, or you may have tool coordinate system. So with reference to tool or with reference to reference point, you will be going to teach the robot, and accordingly you will be going to have the programming which can be done for this robot system. So uh, some sketches which has been shown, when you are using world reference system with will be with reference to base. You are going to have x y z as a base reference, and with reference to that, all the joints which you are going to consider, that will be oriented. Whereas tool reference system, which will be with reference to tool, that end of your robot system. So with reference to that, you will be defining all those particular points. And there is another frame which you are calling it a joint reference system. So you are taking care of those joints as a reference, what are their orientations, and on that basis you are going to have the controlling of this robot. You have seen the work envelopes for this. So it is nothing but collection of all those points within which your robot is moving, that arm is moving, your tool is moving, and that is nothing but your area of application, and that you are calling it as a workspace. So on this workspace or configuration basis, robots are being categorized into measure that 5 categories which we have talked: Cartesian type, cylindrical type, spherical type, and jointed arm. And last one is SCARA configuration, which is special configuration of that spherical type robot. So this is the work envelope for jointed arm. So you will be observing maximum area is being covered with the help of this jointed arm configuration. We have seen all that work envelopes. So this is jointed arm, all rotary motions. So in vertical, that front view also, you will see the vertical stroke is maximum, and in horizontal stroke also as a top view, though it has been put side by side. Generally in engineering drawing which we are doing it, top view in bottom and front view in the top. So you can see this, and these are the joint configurations of industrial robots. When you are representing it, when you are showing it in the dimensional way, when configuring it, or maybe specification of the robot, when you are going to purchase, you have to define those dimensions, and with reference to your application you will be going to use these robots for the developments. So that manipulator which we are discussing, it will be having this particular attachment. First 3 degrees of freedom, first 3 movements along x, y, z directions, which we are calling it as major axis of movement. So maximum movement of your robot will be happening for that first 3 degrees of freedom, first 3 joints. And another next 3 joints which we are going to have is only for orientation purpose, proper orientation. So the rotations or that alignment of that tooling or that part in the assembly or in the application area, that will be decided by your wrist. And that's why this wrist configuration is very important. And this wrist will be having 3 degrees of freedom, which you are calling it as a roll, pitch, and yaw. So each one is having a significance. Roll is related to rotation of wrist about its arm axis. Pitching is nothing but up and down rotation of the wrist, and yawing is nothing but your left to right. So when you are going to have complete rotation of that end effector, that is rolling, pitching will be related to up and down movement of your robot, and yaw is nothing but side, this side, whatever left and right movement of the joints when you are going to have, that will be related to your this wrist movements. So this is one of the sketch related to wrist, which will be attached to your manipulator robot arm having this pitching. So rolling will be of this end, pitching will be this up and down, and this yawing, it will be side to side, left to right. So these 3 movements which you are going to use is for your proper alignment, proper orientation of your whatever end effector or tool which will be mounted on this wrist. So wrist will be your end of your manipulator. Up to this you are going to have manipulator which is being treated, and on this wrist plate you will be going to attach different attachments. One is manipulator, that end effector, and others are nothing but different kinds of tools as per your requirement. Again, on the basis of control system, you can classify these robots as non-servo control system and servo control system. So non-servo control are nothing but low cost automation robots, sequence robots, and you are not bothered about the feedback. You are just defining the path trajectory which you want to follow. It may be only the extension and retraction kind of thing, and you will be taking help of mechanical switches or limit switches for stopping the action, and you are assuming that yes, that action has been performed. So you are not taking really the feedback of that sensor, whether it has reached or not, by some other means also, if that switches are getting operated, you will be confirming that yes, that operation has happened. So there are lacunas in this non-servo control system, but yes, for low cost automation, for small scale industries, people they can go for this non-servo control system robots. So non-control over the motion is the intermittent point. Only ends are being known. So only the end results are being noted, and intermittently what is happening with your drives, what is happening with your actuators, that is not being traced or tracked. Whereas in your so different uh, configurations and the accomplishments related to this non-servo control system, setting desired sequence of moves, adjusting end stops that has to be taken care. Sequence of moves is controlled by a sequencer and which will give the instruction to your robot controller for stopping of the action and proceeding for the next stage, whatever it is. It is low cost and easy to maintain, reliable, relatively high speed as only uh, limited speeds you are going to use. Repeatability is good. Limited flexibility is one of the lacuna, and typically for hydraulic and pneumatic drives, because the actuation mechanism which you will be using will be considered as a hydraulic or pneumatic in this case, and you are going to use this. Servo control is you are going to have almost all those robots being controlled, and the intermittent points are also being traced. So that is also being programmed. So in servo control system, again you are going to have point to point control system, continuous path control system, and controlled path control system. In between that also another methodology, controlled path control is there. That means you are going to have controlling of simultaneous two axis, and you are going to direct that robot arm in the desired position. So you will be required to program with the suitability of your drives and controlling all that axis movements simultaneously so as to get the desired position. After all, our main intention in our robot application is the end effector or that robot arm end has to be moved from one location to another location for performing that desired task. So whether it is pick and place, or whether it is welding, whether it is spray painting, or different applications, whatever you want, those taught points has to be achieved, those taught points has to be reached, and how to reach to that points is a difficult task. So that has to be controlled. Point to point control, when it is you are defining the locations with these points, and then you are asking that robot to move through those particular points. So again in this point to point control, so you are not bothered about intermittent movements, how the that points are getting achieved. But in controlled path control, you will be requiring that intermittent movement also, which is to be understood. So hydraulic and pneumatic drives, which you can use it, and mainly for pick and place, some drilling applications, or maybe machining, loading, unloading application, you may take uh, help of this point-to-point control system. But when you are going to have the applications which are to be performed on irregular surfaces or curvature surfaces, in those cases it is very very important to have those curves to be defined, and also those curves has to be achieved with the help of motion of your robot system, and that can be done with the help of your uh, controlled path control. That means your robot will be taught in a specific way so as to follow that trajectory and move along that particular direction. Applications which you are observing here are spray painting application, polishing, grinding, arc welding, because these are profiles, and along that profiles you will be going to have the application which is to be done in that car hoods or maybe complete body painting. Nowadays it is being happening with the help of robotic system. So it is uniform color. You will not find any dent or any different shade on that particular vehicle body or chassis. Why? Because it is all robot painting, and that program has been set in such a way that all that curves which will be taken care of, and accordingly the movements. So the distance which is being kept between that spray painting gun and your surface, it will be uniform. So there will be no change at all when you are going to have this particular thing. In manual spray painting, there are irregularities, there are different shade, different intensity of spray which will be happening, and you may get different uh, shades on the surfaces of body of that devices. So for costly equipments, you will be finding all that robot painting has been used. So we were discussing about major axes as first three major axes which are being used for positioning of the wrist. Then another three as a minor axis, as a orientation axis, that wrist movements as a another six, another three movements. So 4 to 6, and additional movements if you are going to use, that will be redundant axis 7 onwards, 7 to 8, 9, whatever may be additional redundant axis which you will be going to use for tooling purpose. Generally, these are for when you are attaching some tools at the end of your manipulator and you want to activate those particular things. Say a drilling application you have to perform, or maybe you are going to perform welding application. In those cases, you have to feed the electrode, or maybe you want to move that particular electrode gun. So in those cases, you will be requiring additional degree of freedom, additional movement of those particular joints. So likewise, you are going to have this number of axes, and on the basis of number of axes, you can specify the robots. So please keep in mind that specification and classification is different. Specification will be required when you want to purchase something. You want to broadly uh, give some dimensions, some the configuration kind of thing, that what application you want, what will be desired functionality of your that particular system, and accordingly you will be going to specify the robot. So these are quantifiable terms: payload carrying capacity, repeatability, having the dimensions which is to be measured, precision and accuracy. You have learned yesterday, all that detailing has been given related to how accuracy and precision is being achieved, and the speed of your robot working, the maximum speed what you will be going to achieve. So likewise, you are going to have these movements and these uh, specifications which will be categorized. So you are specifying it, how much is the repeatability, how many number of axes you are going to have, what will be the payload carrying capacity, what will be the speed of my robot. So likewise, if I want to purchase this robot of spherical nature, I can give these characteristics or specifications for that robot. Different specifications. You can have payload carrying capacity, weight of that particular robot, costing of that robot as one of the specification, control method as a type of controller or microcontroller, programming methodology, that also can be as one of the specification of your robot system. Also, materials which are being used for that manipulation, configuration of those particular robot. So one of the specification of robot is robot configuration. So whatever classification of robot we have seen, so that configurations of the joints, that is one of the specs of your robot system. How many degrees of freedom you are going to have, what type of actuators you are using, what is kick stroke you are going to have, vertical stroke you are going to have, all tonnage carrying capacity, this machine tonnage, power supply, air consumption, swing angle, maximum pressure required, working pressure required, overall cycle time. So likewise, you are going to have n number of specs or specifications which can be given while selecting the robot, specifying the robot. like whatever we are purchasing, any device, if we want to purchase, we are giving some specs on the similar line. According to your functionality, you will be specifying the robots. So there are variety of elements. List is uh, but majority of points you will be using this particular configuration, degrees of freedom, cost, drive, then control system, software availability, kinematic construction, open closed loop control system, payload. So internal input output interface, communication protocol, sensing elements, feedback, programming type. So likewise, you can have different parameters which can be considered while choosing a robot. These are the configurations again: rectangular, cylindrical, spherical, articulated, or that jointed arm configuration, giant robots, and SCARA robots. Giant ray is a part of your rectangular configuration. Only the mounting and orientation is different, structure is different. On the two pillars, you are putting that central element of robot movement for that having the axis movement. In this humanoid robots, also latest whatever trend which you are going to have as an entertainment robot, so those are also being defined or that given as a specs with the height, depth, width, weight. So these are the specs which we are going to have: walking speed, walking cycle, grasping force, what are the actuators being used, control unit being used, sensors being used, power system being used, and operating system being used. So when you want to specify any robot, you have to define those characteristics and accordingly you have to take it. Going to manipulator, different photographs, that jointed arm configuration which we are having: rotary base, rotary joint, and this is your rotary joint. So RR type configurations of different KUKA robots are being shown. So these are types of configurations and also the joints which you are going to have. These are the drives, rotary drives, electrical drives which we are using it generally for this heavy duty applications, and as it is easier for controlling the motion because you will be going to have feedback from that servo motors which will be given to the control system, and accordingly precise movement of your robot system or that programmed motion which you can achieve. These are some of the configurations, because unless and until you see variety of configuration, you will not be able to identify the specifications or the classifications of that robot system. And at the end of this particular session, I will be giving you some homework kind of thing, because as a part of assignment which will help you, that will be graded kind of thing. If there are uh, to understand this robot system, whether you have understood this configuration or not as a technicality, different configurations and their specs you have to identify for any kind of application as such. So those were the industrial robots or standalone fixed base robots. Generally, industrial robots you will be finding will be of fixed base robots. So categorization or classification of that robot which you are considering will be one of the categorization is fixed robot and movable robot. And in that movable robot or moving robot, you will be going to have again categorization as a legged robot or wheeled robot. So if you are providing legs to the platform, and generally these are toy robots or maybe some kind of specific surveillance robot or maybe some specific application robots, when you are defining it, this will not be industrial robots, this will be a service robot kind of category, where you are going to have the service which will be availed from that robot system. So legged robot, the legs are being provided and different mechanisms for walking or moving forward, backward, so that or combined wheeled and legged robot you can see. So general categorization in moving robot will be legged robot and wheeled robot. So this as one of the categorization. So how to classify this robot? So one is fixed robots, fixed base robots, which are generally the industrial robots which you are considering, and these are the service robots which for specific applications you are going to define it. So you see this is for certain uh, when you want to collect some samples from the different locations, maybe Mars, maybe for Moon, or maybe from desert different areas. So you can send these robot vehicles, moved or wheeled robots, and you will be going to have different arms being mounted, and those autonomous robots, self-programmed robots, which will be sent to those specific locations, and then they will collect the samples and going to have the samples taken for the analysis purpose. And these are the new developments of toy robots or service robots which we are going to have for entertainment purpose or maybe for service purpose. Another categorization of that robot itself on the basis of application, so that moving robots or move legged robots or wheeled robots. Along with that, autonomous underwater vehicles on the basis of application, when the robots, the devices are being put under the water for different mining exploration, or maybe your marine applications, detection of some ships, or maybe uh, any uh, different marine uh, requirements, or maybe in some of the cases you are going to use these particular underwater vehicles for the repairing of underwater pipelines or those gas pipelines, or exploration of underwater minerals. So that can be done with the help of these autonomous underwater vehicles. On the similar line, unmanned aerial vehicles. So robots or the programmed machines, when it is being sent in the space for collecting some sample data, or maybe it is serving some purpose of collection of certain informations. So those kind of thing, signals which are getting captured and then send it remotely to the earth station or to the controller. So such kind of things are also being called as a service robot systems. So this also yesterday Dr. Ahuja sir talked about what are the do's or what that 3D or 4D which has been used. So that dull, dirty, difficult and dangerous, that 4D which were considered. So jobs that are dangerous for human, nobody want to work in the danger zone, like cleaning of a circulating pump house in a nuclear power plant. Whatever atomic reactions which are happening, you are having nuclear reactions taking place. Nobody will try to expose himself or herself in those zones. So you have to have these robots to be deployed for that particular kind of applications. So dangerous applications, definitely you are depending on the robot system to perform the task. Repetitive tasks. If a labor has been given task to perform for 24 by 7, or cannot do it, but maybe for 8 hours, if he has to do that repetitive task, he will get bored, he will not be interested in doing the task, and definitely the accuracy, preciseness, it will get lowered, and productivity also will get lost. And that's why these robots are being deployed for improving the productivity, quality of that product, and you are the economic one also. So this boring, stressful and labor intensive work which is being replaced with the robots. So welding applications, repetitive type, and also that fumes and other things which is again dangerous, hazardous as well as boring. So persons may not like to perform the task, and you can go for this robots for wedding. Yes, the dirty work. Nobody want to clean the toilets. So in foreign countries, you may find these robots are getting deployed for this application of cleaning of the toilet rooms. So such kind of thing, this scrub mate robot for specifically this cleaning of washrooms, it can be done. So this Ds has to be used. So you name the application, yes, robot can be developed and deployed for that particular application. And that is the main intention of today's that this basics of this robotics, which is to be considered. And you have to come up with the robot application. Any robot application, you have to define it, and related to that robot, what will be the configuration you will be using it. And related to that application, you have to find out a clip or movie or any YouTube for that specific application, and you have to submit as a work, which will be treated as a graded sheet. If somebody fails in the objective test, maybe this will help as an add-on to that for supporting those things. So this will be again graded, means objective. If all clears, fine. If not, at least this particular learning which you have got, this will also be converted and graded for your that particular assessment. Coming to the end effector, now we have completed manipulator. So for understanding basics in our regular UG as well as PG classes also, we are taking more emphasis on understanding the robot system. Once robot has been understood, you will be able to apply any kind of damn application which can be deployed over that robot, and you can get perform. So for that purpose, this whatever emphasis we are also giving is understanding the basics of robot, which you will be able to talk to anybody when you are saying that yes, we have attended uh, robotics course. Yes, so in that, the classification of robots, specification of robots, fundamentals of robots, and at least those definitions which are there, these names again and again you will be coming to know. And that is required also, because once you are trained, once you are able to assimilate these particular informations, definitely any kind of machinery, any kind of robotic system, you will be able to categorize it, specify it, as well as you can derive application from those particular robots. So to that manipulator, we are attaching these different tools or end effectors. So this is attachment to the manipulator. So manipulator and attachment, this will be combinedly called as your robot. Robot manipulator is up to 6 degree of freedom, and this end effector which will be attached to your robot manipulator end, which will be full-fledged robot. And to this robot you are going to have another thing as a controller and power source. So main four elements of your robot system: first one is control system, controller; second is power source; third is your configuration wise your manipulator, and to the manipulator you are going to have attachment of your end effector or tooling. So these four elements of your robot system which you are considering. This end effector also being called as a end of arm tooling or end effector or robot tools. So different names are being given to these particular elements. So just see these particular mechanisms: parallel jaw gripper, versatile planar gripper. So you are going to have these gripper mechanisms, holding mechanisms. Mainly gripper is nothing but holding the job. So you are going to hold the job and take it to another location. So how you are going to grasp that job, what will be the mechanism? So because in earlier days robots are mainly used for this pick and place kind of thing applications, picking the object, putting it to another location. So likewise, and heavy jobs when you have to hold it and put it to another location, many times there are disorders which are taking place when a human is operating or doing this particular activity. So instead of that, if you depute or use the robot, it will be pain less, or your work will be carried out at the faster rate. So on the basis of this configuration also, there are many categorization of this robot system, end effector categorization. See, first one is three-fingered gripper, four-fingered gripper, humanoid gripper, humanoid hand. So likewise, you are going to attach the manipulator these ends so as to perform the task. So what kind of application you are going to perform, accordingly you are going to have the desired task which is being carried out. See, it will not be always mechanical kind of gripping. You may have vacuum suction cups which can be used, and different applications, because you are going to have specific requirement handling of that particular job without damaging the surfaces, and in those cases you will be going to use such kind of suction cups, or maybe you are calling it as fingerless grippers, because in mechanical category you will be requiring that fingers which will be grasping the object, and generally those will be heavy duty applications. But when you are light duty and very sophisticated or fragile parts which can be broken with the mechanical handling, so those can be handled with the help of such kind of fingerless gripper or suction cups. Each one is having its advantages and disadvantages. So we may not go into minute details, but yes, definitely you can refer to those things. I will provide certain links. You can go through as an add-on to this particular applications. So these are some of the finger grippers as an attachment to the robot system, and different tools which are being attached to the robot. So this drill tool, if you are going to have, you see the drill tool has been attached. So up to this it is manipulator, and instead of your end effector gripper with the certain bracket, you have mounted this drill gun, and it will be having separate spindle movement. So that will be additional degree of freedom which we will be going to give it. So NASA cutter or scoop. So this for collection of the sample or maybe application, you are going to have this scoop for collecting the sample for uh, cutting. So likewise, you are going to have applications being used as attaching the robot end effector or different tools for performing the task. Some of the measuring instruments also you can attach it, some of the location reference, some of the points, some of the probes in the machinery when you have to go inside the machines like CNC machines or those things, and you have to measure the bore diameters or internal diameters or length of that job. In those cases you have to go ahead with this particular measuring devices, because online measurement which will enhance the quality of your product. Every part which will be getting checked with the help of robot system within a fraction of seconds. No need of separately making them as a batch and then going on producing, taking the lot from that complete production, selecting, sorting something, and then checking, and again you will be coming to conclusion whether it is approved or not. So instead of that, many industries which they uh, go for 100% inspection. In those cases, you have to depute or deploy the robot for the inspection purpose. Laser cutting and water jet cutters. So you can use very precisely the cutting applications for thin sheet or fiberglass, sheet metals. Likewise, you can perform the cutting applications with the help of robot system. So these are, I'm talking about different attachments which can be attached as a manipulator you are attaching to this attachments, and you are performing the task. This is welding torch, so welding gun is being attached. It may be arc welding, or you may have another kind of thing, butt welding, uh, maybe seam welding. Whatever may be the configuration you are going to use, it will be getting applicable to this case as an attachment. Spray painting tools which you are putting it, so change the tool, you will be able to use same robot for different applications, though there are some limitations structure wise, or how you will be putting it to those particular configurations and all, their joints and movements and all. But yes, for the same category of application with variety of tasks, you can definitely use this robots. And with the help of reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator, you will be able to use these robots effectively for the different applications. Glue applications, putting the glue at different locations. So you are going to have gun, a gluing gun, which will be going for sealing the locations when you are joining certain parts, and you are sealing that as a sealant or gluing. So you can use, or you may have spot welding, or maybe you are this trajectory gluing, whatever trajectory we are going to have, that has to be followed by this. In the automotive sector, mainly you will be finding this particular applications of robots. And different types of tool changers. You may have a robot tool changer, and robot manipulator is going there, attaching it to that, and you can take out like CNC machines. It will be having auto tool changer. So different types of cutters are getting selected. So on the same line, you may have robot tool changer for changing the tools, collecting the those tools from the location, and then getting it used for different applications. So I think this is robot manipulator and robot end effector. I have put few of the things related to robot programming also, because as you are calling it as a reprogrammable, so different kinds of programming which you must know. Another session which will be again delivered related to this, and demonstration, as well as we'll see how it can be done for the programming part of robot. But basic categorization as a online mode and offline mode, these are two categorization of robot programming. And in online, again, you are going to have teach pendant as one of the device, like your remote control, having different keys on it mounted. So those teach pendants are being used for teaching the robot. Or you may first physically move that robot arm and teach that robot. So these are the online robot teaching. And offline, in the sense, you will be sitting on the computer, putting the code, write a program, or task level programming. This will be offline programming. So as a overview of this programming, I'm just putting it as a part of programming system. So teach pendant is a handheld device which is with the switches, just like a control switches, and to control the motions that of different drives and actuators, you will be going to use it. Endpoints are recorded in the controller memory and sequentially played back to execute robot applications. So trajectory determined by a robot controller and then suited for point-to-point control applications. So these are generally the part of your teach pendant applications which you are going to have. Uh, for teach pendant, no specific skill required for programming. You have to just move the robot arm to desired location, and then save those points into controller memory, and then accordingly you will be requiring. But in offline programming, yes, you will be requiring knowledge of all that syntax, all the programming codes, and how to define those location points, which kind of configuration, which kind of coordinate system, which kind of uh, traceable points, those has to be defined. Rapid is one of the programming language which is being used for programming the robot systems. So this is about lead through programming. In old days, initially when there were no such this teach pendants and those devices available, at that time the physically robot arms has to be taken to those locations, and those locations has to be stored into controller memory. So this was the initial walkthrough programming which was being called. Afterwards, using teach pendant, again you are taking that end effector to the location and saving those points into control memory. And then once all those desired targeted points have been saved, you will be going to have the uh, recalling or that playbacking of that program so as to perform the task. And you will be requiring a lot of memory for storing all that information and then again executing those things in the robot program. Different motivations of this offline programming. For real-time programs, you have to have computational background with understanding of geometry and the environment, interface of CAD CAM systems, surrounding machineries, and meaningful task descriptions which are required for the offline programming capabilities. So I think this will be fine for today's the morning session. Again, I will be having another one session or maybe two sessions I have to deliver. So at that time, more emphasis will be given to the applications and realistic things. We have distributed this all the topics relevant to these robots into different uh, categorization and expertise in those domains. They will be delivering giving the inputs for this particular program. So definitely it will be helpful. Before ending the session, I will again go with one of the video related to this robot evolution or revolution which is being used.
Some economists say the world is entering a second machine age.
Is it visible?
Artificial intelligence and other advancements enabling robots
Yes,
to
sir.
do tasks that till now minds and hands could handle. For this episode of Moving Upstream, we traveled through Asia to meet the next generation of industrial robots, where robots are making robots.
Well, they're making love, but these robots. Making babies.
Yes, right.
To see how they're changing manufacturing and whether they're sealing the fate of low-skilled workers.
These are collaborative robots along with the robot
Every
human
other year,
working.
Tokyo plays host to the world's largest
Mainly Japanese and
robotics trade
Chinese,
show,
they are having
IREX.
almost all
It's no
places.
coincidence the show is in Asia. Here, robots are being bought and sold in numbers unrivaled anywhere else in the world. These are the types of robots Professor Eric Brynjolfsson is keeping an eye on as MIT's chief scholar on
MIT
digital
as one
economy.
of the
We used to have to really painstakingly teach the machines step by step, program them
robotic
what to do.
institute,
And now
and
machine
Boston
learning
Laboratory
is
is
enabling the machines to figure out on their own how to solve problems. You put together the algorithms, the data, and the computer chips, and you get sometimes a millionfold improvement in the performance of
A
these systems.
millionfold improvement.
Yeah.
And what does that allow you to do?
So one really important thing to do on the factory floor is just be able to recognize objects, and that's something that only humans could do well until recently.
At IREX, we witnessed a robot handling a task that I, as a human, don't do so well, futzing with one of those pesky tape dispensers. It's among the latest offerings from Yaskawa, one of the world's largest manufacturers of industrial robots. Its main sellers are large industrial robots that do dangerous things, like welding car parts. We visit one of Yaskawa's robot manufacturing facilities in the southern port city of Kitakyushu. Here, the public can try controlling and racing against AI-enhanced robot arms.
You're done.
We got to see where the robots are made.
The robots themselves, they're sealed off by these plastic barriers. The workers aren't allowed to be in there while they're in operation because they're making these very fast movements.
The head of the robotics division at Yasuo, Masahiro Ogawa, seems most excited to talk about robots that don't need to be walled off from humans, that work alongside employees. In the industry, they're called cobots. The
These
International
are
Federation
collaborative
of
robots.
Robots predicts
Another
in coming
session is
years,
there on this.
cobots will lead the robotics industry. That's partially with driving startups like China-based Elephant Robotics to get in the game.
Heated people, so we might just stop.
Yeah,
So work with people.
yeah, it works with people.
We asked their founder, Ju-Yi Song, how his cobot is different from traditional robot arms.
It moved out that quick, and it is very, very light. So it can work with people. So this is the most important thing.
In addition to being safer, the collaboration proves to be more productive. A study conducted by MIT researchers found that human-machine groups were more efficient than teams wholly comprised of one or the other. They also reduced human idle time by 85%. While traveling through Japan, we visited Huistenbosch, a Holland-themed amusement park. There we checked out its latest attraction, a robot restaurant.
How many okonomiyaki pancakes can the robot make in an hour?
今のロボットで焼ける枚数っていうのは1時間でだいたい5、6枚ぐらいだと思います。まだまだそんなに早くない。でも、それだけ丁寧に作ってますから。
My colleague Matt McDonald, after getting a robot mixed cocktail,
Kanpai.
tried the robot chef's signature dish.
特に日本ではどんどんこう少子高齢化で、特に若い人たちの人口がこれからどんどん減っていく、これがもう目に見えて迫っている状況ですから。
So you are observing how the robots are being used at different places as a serving robots or service robots,
It's gimmick by
giving the
design.
ice cream,
Back at Yasuo, Ogawa tells us most of the customers who come to him looking for
Measurements.
automation solutions come
but
from
mainly for
China.
industrial
China market
applications.
is huge, and the growth ratio very high.
How high? Last year, Chinese demand for robots grew more than 20%. One reason for that is China's working population is aging. By 2060, the average Chinese citizen is projected to be 50 years old. To see the impact of industrial robots on manufacturing in China, we traveled to an area that's considered the electronics capital of the world, the Pearl River Delta region. Headquartered there is Rappu, China's largest keyboard and mice manufacturer.
So all that
We asked the
computer
CEO
accessories.
why his company is making the move towards robotics.
Because in China have a rapid salary increase beginning from 2008. So we feel the little pressure from the labor side. So we decided to change a lot our manufacturing system to robot.
Wages for the average urban employee in China have more than doubled.
Then make even the logistics will use a robot.
You seem very happy about this.
Yeah. Because it will make they can go back, but for them it's no mean because China is global.
Do you think they're being forthright? Do you think they're being accurate?
Broadly, I think they are. I think that they're.
Do you think they're being forthright? Do you think they're being accurate?
Broadly, I think they are. I think that there are going to be lots and lots of jobs that are automated, millions, hundreds of millions of jobs that won't be needed because robots will do them. But there's no
So
shortage of
robots
work
will
that
not
only humans can do.
Indeed,
take
in
away
China,
the jobs, but it will be providing more jobs in terms of programming, in terms of service requirements related to the robots. So that particular
No, because they have no choice.
Your plant that you oversee has already been automated 80%, you said. Do you see it going the rest of that 20%?
Li Zhendu, a worker at the Rappu factory, has watched as robots have replaced his colleagues.
How far off do you think we are from full automation?
Is advancing in
so
other
these are some of the
industries, like logistics.
vehicles,
There are still some
automated
employees
vehicles,
here, but not
AGVs or
at
robots.
JD
You can
sorting
use it
center near
for the
Shanghai.
robots.
It's taking nearly
So all that
humans out of this
operations can be
process.
done with the help of
This is
this
the same
palletization,
company that
pick and
last year
place,
began
and
making drone
now you are
deliveries.
going to have the drones as a
This is a
agriculture
moment of
or
choice and
many
opportunity. It could be
applications
the
as a
best
part of
10
robots.
years ahead of us that we've ever had in human history, or one of the worst, because we have more power than we've ever had before. Tools by themselves are not going to lift up the billions of people who are being left behind. Those are conscious choices we have to make as a society and as individuals.
If any questions, please.
Sir, please explain that 4D, what you had termed as those 4Ds.
Right. So that may be the likely question in your test, which will be coming. So prepare in such manner that whatever that dull work, whatever you are not wanting, then difficult work which is not able to be carried out by human being. Suppose I have to reach to a height of 10 feet and I have to do some welding. It is not possible for a human being or worker, or it will require another stepping stone, different maybe platforms to go to that position. And maybe if it is at inner portion, to reach to that locations also it is very difficult. And in such cases you are deputing this robot, so that dull work which is you are not expecting to do, dirty work, dirty in the sense if in the like uh, the toilet cleaning which we have seen, or maybe in the mud region, or maybe at different environments, smell where you are going to have different types of smell which are coming. So in those cases you are not comfortable with. So that dirty, dull, dangerous. So dangerous in the sense like that nuclear power plant, or maybe you can see when X-ray or that laser beam working. So in those zones also it is very difficult to work, and that powerful nature and difficult. So dull, dangerous, difficult, and dirty. Dull is nothing but boring, repetitive kind of task. So these 4 Ds are there. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.